everything that we're going through now really starts with the pandemic. And in March of 2020 and April of 2020, the U.S. experiences its shortest and severest recession on record, in that it didn't last very long, but associated with the shutdowns at the start of the pandemic, the U.S. economy shed about 22.5 million jobs in less than 5 weeks. We will never come close to doing that again, short of another pandemic. The unemployment rate shot up to around 20%. There were some measurement issues with the unemployment rate at the time, but given how people answered the questions, the official unemployment rate was 14.5%, but the BLS released a note saying it's 19.5%. These people are not classified correctly given how special the pandemic was and how the survey couldn't capture it. And it was already in the field. So that puts us into the summer of 2020, when the U.S. economy is the worst it has ever been since the Great Depression. And the open question becomes, are we ever going to get out of this? Because the precedent that we were coming from with the last recession we had was the 2007 to 2009 financial crisis. And not only did that recession and the job loss associated with it last forever, I mean years of shedding jobs every month, it took 7 to recover. Not to recover and keep up with the population and labor force growth that had happened since then. I mean, 7 just to recover the jobs that had been lost 5 years prior, or started to have been lost 7 years prior. So it was brutal. And the worry at the time was, if we had another slow labor recovery like the Great Recession, you were looking at 15 years to recover from this 2-month pandemic job loss. So that didn't happen. Thank God. Congress and the Federal Reserve juiced the market really as much as they could. We got stimulus checks. We helped unemployed people with extra benefits. We kept people in houses. We put student loans into automatic forbearance. You could go penalty free into a mortgage forbearance. I mean, we basically did, more than we have ever done.
Pulled out all the stops.
All the stops, pulled out every stop possible to try and keep the economy from sliding into disaster and keep people preserved through this difficult time. And the result was amazing. The U.S. economy recovered all of those jobs lost faster than anyone could have predicted in 2020. And, it took about 2 years, which is incredible. The predictions were that it would take 5, or that it would take 6, because it was such severe job loss and the economy was still opening up. And that period of especially 2021, I mean, that was the fastest job growth the U.S. had ever seen. It just passed the next fastest period, which took place in the 70s. So because the hole was so big, a big problem emerges towards the end of 2021. Which is that we're starting to get hot prints on inflation.
I'm sorry, did you say hot prints?
Hot prints. That means the print is what we call the inflation report. And if it's hot, that means the number's high.
Oh, okay.
So it's a hot print.
There's a hot print.
Weirdly enough, it's only inflation that runs hot or cold. I mean, sometimes the jobs report's referred to as hot, but a hot print, if it was oh man, it was a really hot print, I'm inflation was high that month. And so inflation refers to the year-over-year growth in average prices. The Fed wants it around 2%. And in the fall of 21, it just keeps ticking up, and it keeps ticking up. And, the obvious response to inflation rising is that you're supposed to increase interest rates. The Fed was waiting to do that because the labor market was still recovering from the pandemic. And they didn't and this recovery was amazing. It was hot job summer.
But it was fast. I mean,
it was fast.
It was just sharp drop and
but there were there's all kinds of problems too that, now we don't care about, but we did then of jobs for men recovered before jobs for women. So men get their jobs back, but women and predominantly...
And then we slow the economy down?
Yeah. All of the women of color, they haven't recovered their jobs, but we need to slow the economy down. There were big questions about when should we pump the brakes, because we wanted to stabilize the labor market and erase this horrible thing that had happened to our labor market. But the inflation reports kept getting higher. So eventually they, turned on the brakes, which means to raise interest rates.